Unsere nächste Referentin hier am Symposium steht für Schweizer Hightech mit internationaler Strahlkraft. Als CEO von APCO Technologies verbindet Aude Pugin Innovationskraft mit industrieller Präzision, also von Energie über Marine bis hin zur Raumfahrt. Und sie gestaltet Innovation auch auf institutioneller Ebene mit, nämlich als Mitglied des Verwaltungsrats von InnoSwiss. Ihr Thema heute: Hightech made in Switzerland up into space. Welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be in front of you in Baden at the KMU Symposium. I am here to talk about our own KMU, our SME, APCO Technologies. So APCO Technologies is a company that has been existing for more than 30 years. I'm the second generation of the family business, and the company was founded in 1992. So I'm here mainly to talk about space, but we have three fields of activities. So we are active in space, mainly on the European market, in the energy sector, in the nuclear sector, in France historically, but also recently, since a couple of years, in the UK, and also in the naval shipbuilding business in the US. So like a lot of industrial SMEs, we export nearly 100% of what we do, which is a challenge with the strong Swiss franc, and this is one of the numerous challenges that we all need to face. To describe our activities, we're obviously not in the B2C business. We are more in the B2B, or you could even say B2G, because obviously space, although it's a sector that has more and more private interest, it is something that is funded by public money, and obviously energy infrastructure is also something, although the private involvement is key, that is funded publicly. Maybe 2 words about the second generation family business. There's always a bit of emotion in the family businesses, but I think that the fact that a lot of businesses, a lot of SME in Switzerland are family owned or privately owned, but what is key is the shareholding involved in the day-to-day business. I really believe this gives us an agility and a resilience that is one of the key ingredients of what we call the resilience of the Swiss economy. So to give you an idea, I'm not going to bore you with our list of certificates, and actually we're currently spending the full month doing the recertification of our long list of ISO certification, but it's just to stress, I should say that I'm probably of liberal obedience, and when we, as economy, industry, say to our authorities that there shouldn't be too much bureaucracy, is that there's a very strong self-regulation of the economy, of our industries, and there's already a lot of bureaucracy that is required within our own field of activities that are regulated, so there's no need to add on top, and I also believe that the best regulation is issued by the specialists who are working day-to-day in the field and not by people who are seeing these domains a bit more remotely. On top of that, being a supplier of big clients such as Airbus, Thales, EDF, Électricité de France in France, or General Dynamics in the US, we also get regularly audits from our clients, so this is adding on the regulatory framework. So I'm here to talk about space mainly, and it's true that APCO Technology is mainly known for its space activities, but before that we're going to stay a little bit on Earth, and I'm going to talk to you about our two other fields of activity. So starting with nuclear, I told you that our company has 30 years of existence, but actually the adventure, we succeeded in 92 to a company named Atelier Mécanique de Vevey, who equipped all the power plants in France with its special equipment. So actually we have 30 years of existence, but we have over 50 years of heritage in the energy sector. And I like to talk about nuclear. Actually, I saw when I arrived that there is a Swiss nuclear forum happening in these halls today, which gives me a lot of hope on the reality check about the need of nuclear in the world and in Switzerland. Every 2 years, there's the World Nuclear Exhibition. It happened last November in Paris. It was very exciting to see the dynamic of the industry, and really the world is nuclear is back. You know, the scenarios that we were making 10, 15 years ago was all about energy reduction, and obviously I think we made some great technological process, but that's not going to go against the trend of the fact that energy consumption is going up because of data centers, because of AI, just to quote these two reasons. And also, it's only with a mix of renewable and nuclear energy that we are going to achieve net zero, which I believe is another key goal that we should have for the world and for the economy. So what do we do for the energy sector? We do secured lifting and handling equipment. So when you do a crane in a workshop, obviously if you do the same crane in a power plant, you need to have all sorts of features, technical, all sorts of safety system and design functions that are adapted to its environment. And to show you a picture of the magnitude that we do, before I get to space, which is light stuff and equipment of a smaller dimension, this is to give you the magnitude of what we do in the nuclear sector. So this is a polar crane, which is a revolving crane that actually turns on a runway, and that polar crane, to give you an example, is 750 ton. It's a height of 20 meter, 45 meter long, and the picture that you see here on the top is our polar crane being lifted in one go by what is the biggest crane in the world. It has a name, it's called Big Carl. It can lift up to 3,000 tons at the time. And our equipment has a key function because it's going to integrate the heavy components in the reactor building, and then it's going to do lifting operations all through the life cycle of the power plant. And actually, that picture of our polar crane, our big yellow equipment, was taken in Hinkley Point. Hinkley Point is the biggest construction site in Europe, all categories. We're talking about 15,000 people building 2 power plants in the UK, 1 hour from Bristol, which is facts that I rarely read in our medias. So I also wanted to give the reality check that nuclear power is something that has been still active, still in construction, and it has been a bit less than a decade that the UK has made the choice to go towards net zero energy thanks to nuclear. Still staying on Earth, but going on the sea, naval shipbuilding, we design also, here we're talking about very large equipments, more than 1,000 tons, to position, rotate boat hulls in a degree of precision to allow their seamless welding. So lifting and turning systems, assembly and measured system, bringing a lot of robotic cutting and welding systems, and the importance of innovation, and also in sectors that you would think are a little bit less digital, a bit less sexy, like naval and shipbuilding. We've invested heavily in developing multi-pass welding. So there are many companies in the world, more Eastern, who are far more advanced than us in single-pass welding, but our multi-pass welding development is for critical welding parts with a very large thickness of plates. And this is an example, you know, we've come very much like a lot of industrial companies in Switzerland from the mechanical engineering and the mechanical world. And I think that the ability to manage these ambitious, large-scale projects is a competence that we will keep, but obviously we need to add in software, robotics, digital, if we don't want to have our Nokia moment in the industry. And also, the need for innovation is also interested not only, you know, obviously technology increases quality, includes rhythm, productivity, but it also is important for people. And it's true that, you know, very often we talked about home office, how work-life balance, shifted totally differently after the pandemic, but actually there are still people working in workshops who actually were not confined during the pandemic. We still need infrastructure. Even if we want to live in a digital world, we're going to have to build the infrastructure that will power it. So, I'm faced to reality of big shipyards, construction sites with 15,000 people, like the one in the UK. France is also going to build 6 new power plants and is going to start soon. So they're facing the same kind of difficulty. So critical quality, both when you're talking about ships or power plants, tight schedules, and the shortage of skilled workers. And I think technology is also keeping the attractivity within the industrial world. If you want people to make the efforts to go and work in a workshop or in a construction site, bringing in technology is really something that helps the attractiveness of these type of fields. So now we are going into space, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about what APCO technology does in this sector. So first, starting with launcher rockets. We are proudly part of the industrial organization of Ariane 6, the European launcher, who had its maiden flight in July 2024, has now launched 5 or 6 Ariane 6 since then, and less than a month ago they launched an Ariane 6-4 with 4 boosters, and that was transporting 32 Kuiper satellites. Kuiper is the constellation of Jeff Bezos. We only hear the constellation of Starlink and of Elon Musk, but there's a big rivalry with the satellite constellation of Kuiper, and obviously Jeff Bezos does not want to have his satellites launched by SpaceX, so this is why he, an example of an American going to the European market to have access to space, and there has been 18 launches of Ariane 6 ordered to Ariane Group. And this is important for us because at APCO Technologies we are manufacturing the upper and lower attachments of the boosters, so 2 or 4 boosters depending on the satellite load. So obviously we prefer when an Ariane 6 has 4 boosters rather than 2. And this is really something that is fully manufactured in our workshop in Aigle, in the Canton de Vaud. And we have dedicated for that an Industry 4.0 workshop that is totally data-driven, data-oriented, for an increased productivity. We're also part of projects and prototypes of reusable launchers in Europe, because there are also projects of reusable launchers in Europe. And also we are the only Swiss company that has been present for more than 25 years on the spaceport in French Guiana, from which Ariane 6 is launched, Ariane 5 before. And less known fact, Soyuz, the Russian reactor, the Russian launcher, was also launched from French Guiana, but obviously that stopped with the war in Ukraine. Going now, so this is what we do on launchers, rockets, satellites. So we grew a lot in our competences over the past 2 decades in satellite structures, thanks to the projects of the European Space Agency. I will never stress enough the importance of European cooperation to develop our innovation in Switzerland. We're very strong in innovation in Switzerland, but I think we're also team players, and we can have access to very ambitious projects when we cooperate within a European frame. And actually, Switzerland is a founding member of the European Space Agency that was founded a bit more than 50 years ago. So we do have a European collaboration history that goes back to a number of decades. We also do what we call ground support equipment to test, assemble, transport satellite and launchers. And in these contexts as well, we're also developing digital competences. We've developed a digital twin, which is a digital twin that is simulating the operation of the satellite. It's very important in the design phase, but also in the operation phase to test certain movements before actually performing them when the satellite is in space. It is the general manager of APCO Technology who chairs the Swiss Space Industry Group. SSIG is a group that is within Swissmem, a very rich space ecosystem, not only industry, but academy. I will get to that. We're talking about approximately 400 million Swiss francs of turnover per year, more than 1,000 employees, and actually, obviously, this is only minimal compared to the turnover and the number of employments that the space infrastructure triggers, obviously. An example, because we're quite humble in Switzerland and we don't always talk very vocally about what we achieve, but in space, this is an example of all key missions to which Swiss universities have contributed. So we're talking about science missions. You will see 2 missions from NASA. One of them is the InSight Mars lander. The other one is the famous James Webb Space Telescope. It's the telescope that replaced Hubble. And both of these missions had contributions from the ATH. APCO Technologies also contributed to James Webb Space Telescope, and obviously Beyond Gravity, former RUEG Space, is also playing a key part as the Swiss participation. A number of ESA missions, so I wish everyone would walk around with ESA t-shirts like they work with NASA. That would help the awareness of the brand, but ESA, so the European Space Agency. One mission is JUICE, to explore and to go and observe the icy moons of Jupiter. One mission is Gaia, something as incredible as doing a 3D mapping of our universe. But also proudly, we have Swiss missions in there. The Swiss Cube that you have maybe heard of. This is more of a student project that was launched at the time within the frame of EPFL. And we also have CHEOPS, which is a project mainly led by University of Bern that relates to exoplanets. So exoplanets are key. An exoplanet is a planet that is outside of the solar system. And it's very important because it's 2 Swiss men who have received the Nobel Prize, Michel Mayor and Didier Queloz, for actually identifying and finding the first exoplanet. So these are concrete examples of a key contribution a key Swiss contribution to space achievements. Because very often when I hear about space in the media, everyone is thinking, Switzerland, space, Switzerland is too small, why is it a topic for us? It is a topic and it has been a reality for more than 15 years. A number of Swiss institutes contribute to several space missions and they prepare the space missions of tomorrow. I will only quote one here, the XEM. XEM has developed the atomic clocks. So this is the perfect Swiss product for space. An atomic clock is a very specific positioning clock. You have all heard of GPS, maybe less of Galileo. Galileo is the European navigation and positioning system. And all of the satellites of the Galileo, the European Galileo constellation, are equipped with Swiss atomic clocks that were initially developed by the XEM, and then the transfer of technology was done to a Swiss company called SpectraTime. The importance of space, because it's true, space was at some time science fiction, then it was exploration, but space is really in our everyday life. With satellite navigation, timing, it allows the synchronization of financial transactions, the synchronizations of power grids. It's also the navigation systems that allows us to drive or to do transport in air, land, and sea. Earth observation as well. I like to repeat that there is nowhere where we see and we understand the Earth better than from space, which allows to do great things in climate observation, monitoring, also in the frame of sustainability, obviously monitoring agriculture, disaster management and recovery, and obviously our daily life would be very different without satellite communication, whether the economy or the governments, and without Internet of Things. So space is no longer a sector. just an exploration sector or even just an economic sector. It is an infrastructure. Our economies, our societies depended on it daily, and if they were to malfunction, it wouldn't collapse overnight, but there would be very quickly some problems in the way our logistics and our daily lives function. And I like to do the comparison that space is a little bit like the kind of game changer that railway was in the 19th century, in the terms of allowing a much more speedy exchange of data and of information. Also, you know, it's true that more and more, unfortunately, given the circumstances, we speak about defense, we speak about resilience, about autonomic strategy. More and more countries are making space a specific space domain, a specific military domain. It has been a number of years since countries like Germany, France had their space command. Switzerland, the Swiss Army, also has a space division and is starting to allocate more and more means, because if you want to build on your resilience to have autonomy in the access to data, it's important to have access to satellite data. So in defense, space enables intelligence, strategic early warning, secure communication. Command and control and targeting is also something that space enables and that defense organizations look at. And space is a force multiplier, but it also entails a certain vulnerability. It shouldn't be the argument to say, oh, well, we shouldn't go towards space because it entails a vulnerability, because it's true that, you know, we're not going to have a space war, but if there is an attack on navigation system, it means that you have global navigation systems jamming, and that could create some chaos. But the same way that our economies, our societies are becoming more and more digital, and therefore a cyber attack is becoming more and more a threat, space, because it is the infrastructure that is uplifting and unlabeling our societies and economies, it's something that creates a vulnerability, and we need to build on space resilience. So I really think that space, and this is maybe you will say in contradiction with being a liberal, space should be a field of exploration, a field of collaboration with the academy. It should be a business activity, but it should be an infrastructure that should be part of the strategic planning of governments, of our Swiss government, both for civil, dual use and defense applications. But again, I think European cooperation is key to achieve that, and I'm listing here again the fields, whether in navigation, in climate, in science, in surveillance, and also I mentioned our implication in Ariane 6. I think now, today, after the year that we have, started in January 2025, no one would dispute the fact that it is key for Europe to have an independent access to space. At some point, we thought, oh, it's all very fine to rely on SpaceX to send our European satellites, and I think the need today to say, well, it's fine to collaborate, but we also need to have our own autonomy. And I think this is what Europe is working on at the moment. This is what Switzerland should also work on at the moment. And there should be cooperation of Switzerland within Europe in that frame. And lastly, this is going back to the values of our own SME, which are customer focus and team spirit, which I believe are the external and internal side of one same thing, which is collective intelligence. We are stronger when we collaborate, and I believe that this symposium and you being all here today is a great example of this, of what we can do when we collaborate. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Aude. This was very impressive. May I just ask you one question, because I saw that sentence there. You were saying we have to build space resilience, and then you were referring to this kind of autonomy, European autonomy, even Swiss space autonomy. What would be the very first relevant steps to undertake?
Well, I think already we're doing something right, which is Switzerland is part of the European Space Agency. We are a founding member. We're the 6th contributor. There was two or 3 years, there's a ministerial conference, and Switzerland has contributed importantly to these projects. And actually, it's an unprecedented subscription of all the European space at the ministerial conference of ESA. And there was a special program called ERS, like European Resilience for Space. So we need to continue to collaborate in that frame, but also take part to European projects. There's one project called Copernicus. It's an Earth observation project. Switzerland has not yet confirmed its participation there too. And there's another less known, which is IRIS-2, but you have to read IRIS Square, which is the European constellation. If we don't want only Starlink and the Kuiper constellation that I mentioned of Amazon to be the only constellation, and we also want to have a European constellation, it's going to be within IRIS Square. And obviously Switzerland, as proud as I am of my country, is not going to have its own constellation. So, we should keep our specificities, but for ambitious projects and autonomic strategy, it has to be within a European frame.
It's very well known that universities like ETH in Zurich, also in Lausanne, they are quite involved in space and in projects. I mean, we have a lot of entrepreneurs from this region here. How could they be more involved in the matter of space, even if they do not produce anything that would be really needed for space?
Well, I think there's a Swiss Space Office within CERI that is doing a great job, also creating a lot of events to, first of all, trigger awareness and to give keys to mid-size companies, to larger companies, to startups as to what they could do and how they could contribute. Because obviously there's the infrastructure, there's the satellite, but there's also all the application, the downstream, dealing with the data. So I would first look at the Swiss Space Office on the site of the Confederation, and there will be a whole list of events to go to attend, where a lot of information is handed.
All right, so let me ask you a couple of questions about your function at the board of InnoSwiss. You are one of those members, because innovation is one of our key topics. So who is eligible for InnoSwiss funding? Well,
any company is eligible, but then there are certain criteria. So there are a diversity of tools. And I know sometimes when you go on the website, you could be a little bit overwhelmed by this diversity. So I would mainly quote 3 ways. There's innovation projects, innovation checks, innovation mentoring. So innovation project is going to be a project where your company would be the implementation partner of an academy to allow the transfer of technology. But then the innovation checks and mentoring, innovation check is a voucher to test an idea with an academy. And the innovation mentoring is an experienced mentor who would help you to get organized, know what are the first steps and the next steps to be taken, maybe putting you in contact with the right research partner. So there are a number of tools, and there's really, I think that over the past years, InnoSwiss has made a lot of, taken a lot of actions to reach out, particularly to the SMEs. And I am an SME, and I know that sometimes we feel a little bit forgotten, and we feel that only the startups who are the sexy thing get the attention. So there has been really a priority put in that direction.
Yeah, perhaps we do have some companies who have already been working with InnoSwiss. Hat jemand schon mit InnoSwiss gearbeitet? Vielleicht mit einem Projekt? Ja, wir haben doch einige hier. Wie waren die Erfahrungen?
It's nice to see a few hands raised.
Okay, thumbs up. How does InnoSwiss provide support in practice?
So I think I pre-answered
yeah, more or less. Maybe you could be a bit more precise.
With innovation projects. And I think maybe, and I will go back to your previous, who is eligible? I think the key criteria is obviously, it's true that you need to have a little bit of structuring, and you also have to appreciate, because the feedback sometimes we have is that, and this is not necessarily something I get as a board member, but I was hearing even before, is that it's quite complex and it requires certain competence to write the exact project that will get the approval. But really, you have to reach out to get mentoring, to get voucher, and to test your ideas before going to the next step. So the criteria is you need to be innovative, obviously, and you need to be impactful. And also what I like in this definition about being impactful, impact is to have an impact which is economic or societal. And this is really these two notions that we try to apply at InnoSuisse.
Thank you so much. You're going to get a gift, obviously. Happy to hand it over to you. Thank you so much, Aude Pugin. Merci beaucoup.